City Slickers, 1991, is more than just a fish-out-of-water comedy. It's a heartfelt exploration of midlife malaise and the search for renewed purpose. Directed by Ron Underwood and penned by Lowell Ganz and Babaloo Mandel, the film stars Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, and Bruno Kirby as three ordinary friends confronting personal crises while venturing onto a western cattle drive. Although best remembered for its comedic flair, City Slickers draws much of its charm from genuine emotional stakes as characters grapple with aging, family obligations, and existential questions about finding meaning. The movie's universal themes, coupled with Jack Palance's unforgettable portrayal of the tough-as-nails Cowboy Curly, made it a runaway success, delighting audiences around the globe and inspiring a surge of interest in dude ranch vacations. Below, we dive into 30 points that peel back the layers of this modern Western classic, showcasing the creativity, challenges, and often surprising influences that helped shape it. The unlikely spark. Billy Crystal first got the idea for City Slickers while flipping channels at home, stumbling upon a show about middle-aged men embarking on fantasy vacations. Instead of settling for a standard comedic setup, Crystal envisioned an adventure that captured the emotional quagmires many people face in their late 30s. He thought, why not toss some discontented city dwellers into the Wild West? By merging John Wayne-inspired grit, particularly from The Cowboys, 1972, with the everyday anxieties of modern life, Crystal felt he could create a movie that spoke to anyone stuck in a routine. The notion of comedic culture shock, setting ordinary folks against the backdrop of rugged frontier work, provided the perfect canvas for both humor and introspection. Casting Curly. From the outset, Crystal harbored a clear vision for the gruff, wise, and slightly intimidating Cowboy Curly. His childhood memory of watching Jack Palance in Shane, 1953, was seared into his mind. He recalled how Palance's villainous aura simultaneously scared and intrigued him. Even as a young boy, Crystal understood that Palance brought authentic toughness to the screen. When City Slickers rolled around, he insisted that only Palance could deliver that mysterious presence, a cowboy who might shoot you a death stare one moment and quietly teach you a life lesson the next. The idea was to contrast Curly's old-school grit with the city slicker cluelessness of Mitch, Phil, and Ed, generating comedic sparks grounded in real tension. Bronson's page 64 lemma. Scheduling conflicts meant Jack Palance might not be available, so the production team briefly turned to Charles Bronson, another Western and action film icon. However, Bronson's reaction to the script was anything but calm. Discovering that Curly would die about halfway through, on page 64, according to industry whispers, he promptly rejected the role. Legend has it that Bronson found the idea of dying so early, especially in a comedic context, personally insulting. While this might have seemed like a setback initially, it became a blessing in disguise. Palance's schedule opened up, and the filmmakers could revert to the man Crystal had always wanted, ultimately giving the movie its indelible, Oscar-winning cowboy. Palance's one-arm Oscar. At the 1992 Academy Awards, Jack Palance famously dropped to the floor and performed one-armed push-ups during his acceptance speech for Best Supporting Actor. This impromptu spectacle has become part of Hollywood lore, an endearing and jaw-dropping moment that underlined Palance's robust vigor at age 73. Even though City Slickers was a broad comedy, Palance's portrayal transcended typical comedic boundaries. Critics praised how he injected Curly with a stoic sincerity that balanced the film's lighter elements, affirming the idea that comedic performances can indeed reap serious accolades when executed with depth and conviction. Crystal's real best day. One reason City Slickers resonates so strongly is that it sprinkles in deeply personal recollections, chief among them Mitch Robbins's best day story. In the film, Mitch recalls a cherished memory of going to Yankee Stadium with his father, where Mickey Mantle signed his program. That scene mirrors Billy Crystal's true childhood experience. Mantle really did sign Crystal's program at a baseball game, and years later he signed it again, further cementing that magical moment in Crystal's heart. By bringing this memory into Mitch's story, Crystal added weight and authenticity, reminding audiences that comedic protagonists are more relatable when they're rooted in genuine emotion. The debut of a future star. A sharp-eyed viewer might notice a young Jake Gyllenhaal as Mitch's son, Danny, his first feature film appearance. Gyllenhaal was just 10 years old at the time, and while his role was small, he made a lasting impression on the cast and crew with his easygoing charm. Between takes, he entertained everyone by singing show tunes from South Pacific. In retrospect, seeing Gyllenhaal in such a wholesome, cameo-like part is a treasure, offering a glimpse of a soon-to-be A-lister who would later headline gritty dramas, action thrillers, and everything in between. Rick Moranis steps away. Early drafts of the film had Rick Moranis in a central role. Moranis's comedic style, soft-spoken yet energetically witty, seemed to mesh naturally with Billy Crystal's humor. However, life threw a heartbreaking curveball when Moranis's wife was diagnosed with cancer. Moranis withdrew from the project to care for her and their family full-time, a decision that mirrored one of City Slickers' main messages. Family and personal responsibilities ultimately outweigh professional ambitions. Though Moranis's absence altered the script's dynamic, the film maintained its momentum with recasting. Still, industry insiders often wonder about the comedic chemistry that might have emerged had Moranis been able to stay. Almost featuring Robin Williams. In another parallel universe, Robin Williams might have been part of the trio. Reports suggest that Williams, a close friend of Crystal, was in talks to potentially portray Mitch, Phil, or Ed. But timing is everything in Hollywood. Williams had already committed to Hook, 1991, with Steven Spielberg, preventing him from joining. While some fans dream of what City Slickers might have looked like with Williams's unstoppable improvisation, it's hard to argue that the final cast synergy isn't pitch perfect. As a consolation, Williams and Crystal later showcased their combined comedic energy through various charity events and joint appearances. The ranch life beckons. Stern, Daniel Stern's portrayal of Phil, is a comedic highlight. Phil's the relatable everyman who's frustrated in marriage and bogged down by a demanding job. Yet, behind the scenes, Stern discovered a genuine passion for the cowboy lifestyle. So captivated was he by wrangling, the open range, and riding horses that after shooting Wrapped, he purchased his own 500-acre ranch. Stocked with dozens of horses and cattle, his new property reflected how immersing yourself in a role can spark an unforeseen passion. For Stern, the dusty plains of the film's set became a real-world refuge, proving that sometimes life really does imitate art. Bruno Kirby's allergic hurdle. Not everyone on set found the presence of horses so delightful. Bruno Kirby, who played the energetic, thrill-seeking Ed, was severely allergic to them. Starring in a comedy that revolves around a cattle drive was hardly ideal for someone forced to deal with incessant itching, sneezing, and more. Kirby received daily injections to manage his allergies, but still faced difficulties. Despite the personal discomfort, he delivered a spirited performance full of macho confidence and comedic swagger. Looking back, it's impressive that audiences never catch a hint of his underlying struggles on screen, a testament to Kirby's dedication. Beechnut, the breakout horse. Of the many horses used during production, one named Beechnut formed a special bond with Billy Crystal. Crystal cherished Beechnut's temperament, calm under pressure, cooperative with cast and crew. When filming ended, Crystal's agent surprised him by purchasing Beechnut, effectively reuniting man and horse. Beechnut became more than a souvenir. He returned for City Slickers' Dessert and offered Crystal a lingering connection to the cowboy days. In a sense, Beechnut symbolized Mitch's own discovery that the natural world, and caring for an animal, can help us see life with fresh eyes. No hands-on research for the writers. Considering how deftly City Slickers portrays the comedic side of a real cattle drive, one might assume screenwriters Lowell Ganz and Babaloo Mandel spent weeks on a ranch, soaking in authentic cowboy culture. The truth is, they wrote the script from the comfort of their office first, relying on comedic instincts and basic knowledge of Western tropes. Only after finishing did they consult a dude ranch owner to confirm they hadn't veered too far from reality. This method might seem reversed, but it demonstrates how comedic spontaneity can trump laborious research, provided you follow up and confirm those essential facts. An ingenious calf birth. Few scenes are as memorable or tender as Mitch delivering a calf named Norman during a torrential nighttime storm. Achieving this on film required a combination of practical effects and off-camera ingenuity. The special effects team built a portion of a cow's back end with a crew member inside to maneuver the birthing elements. When Billy Crystal pulled Norman into the light, his genuine sense of wonder was fueled by this elaborate illusion. It became one of the film's emotional climaxes, illustrating Mitch's transformation from disconnected city dweller to someone ready to embrace life's messy, unexpected joys. The Dude Ranch phenomenon. Once City Slickers premiered, Dude Ranches nationwide saw a surge in bookings. People who might never have considered riding a horse or sleeping under the stars decided they wanted to replicate the comedic transformation they'd seen Mitch, Phil, and Ed undergo. Ranch owners reported customers referencing the film, eager to lasso their own piece of cowboy adventure and, hopefully, gain the introspective insights Mitch found. Even years later, some ranches still tout the City Slickers experience, proof of the film's deep cultural imprint on American vacation habits. Money in the saddle. Financially, City Slickers soared, recouping its $26 to $27 million budget many times over. It ultimately pulled in about $179 million worldwide, with $124 million from the North American box office alone. Such numbers bolstered Castle Rock entertainment, confirming that a comedy with a relatable emotional hook could perform spectacularly in a crowded movie market. The returns also signaled that the cultural appetite for comedic westerns was not extinct, especially when spliced with genuine existential questioning, which viewers in the early 90s found surprisingly cathartic. Multiple locales, one epic journey. Translating Mitch's arc from bustling Manhattan radio ad salesman to ranch hand rookie required filming in diverse locations. The production hopped between Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Durango, Colorado, capturing wide-open terrains that underscored the trio's fish-out-of-water status. Interiors were shot at Culver and Universal Studios for safety, control, and convenience. The film also briefly ventured abroad to Spain's Pamplona, aiming to replicate the thrill of running with the bulls, a nod to the global sense of adventure that sparks Mitch's craving for something new. Together, these locations formed a tapestry of place and mood, mirroring the characters' expanding perspectives. Translating City Slickers abroad. In English, City Slickers is a pithy phrase capturing the movie's concept, but overseas, distributors faced the challenge of communicating the film's comedic premise without relying on an American idiom. France opted for Life, Love, and Cows, framing it as a whimsical, almost romantic escapade, whereas Greece labeled it So What Did You Do in the Far West, Dad? A more comedic, question-based tagline. While these titles sound quirky to English speakers, they reflect the playful rebranding each territory used to woo local audiences who might otherwise miss the pun of the original. Daniel Stern's method, or lack thereof. Daniel Stern purposely avoided formal writing lessons so he could authentically bumble around on horseback as Phil. Whenever you see Phil losing his balance, fumbling with reins, or expressing sheer panic, that's often Stern's genuine anxiety shining through. This approach fed into the movie's comedic realism. Phil's transformation from hapless rider to semi-competent cowboy felt more convincing because Stern allowed himself to experience and then channel real unsteadiness. It's a testament to how comedic performances sometimes benefit from fewer rehearsals and more genuine in-the-moment reactions. Crystal goes Cowboy. Though Billy Crystal was known for comedic timing and hosting the Oscars with panache, he dove headfirst into physical challenges on set. Determined to add authenticity, he rode Beechnut himself and attempted many stunts, from galloping across uneven terrain to crossing rivers while lassoing. He reportedly took pride in matching the gung-ho spirit typically associated with action stars. By doing so, he gave Mitch Robbins an earnest sense of trial by fire. He was learning these cowboy skills alongside the audience, bridging the gap between comedic shtick and heartfelt evolution. The harmonica standoff. A subtle yet defining moment occurs when Mitch defies Curly by continuing to play a harmonica around the campfire even after Curly warns him to stop. The tension is palpable. Curly's a man of few words and fierce glares, and Mitch is reaching a tipping point of frustration in his own life. That Mitch dares to challenge Curly's authority speaks volumes about his arc, suggesting he's no longer content to be pushed around, either by life or by an intimidating cowboy. This small act of defiance hints at the growth Mitch will later fully realize, and the icy stare-down underscores the movie's comedic balancing act. Big laughs, punctuated by genuine moments of stand-your-ground seriousness. Embracing Western legacy in the score, City Slickers weaves in classic Western motifs, including the famous theme from The Magnificent Seven. Typically associated with stoic gunslingers riding heroically across desert plains, the music here underscores the comedic contrast. Our three leads may lack the grit of Yul Brynner's gunslingers, but in their own flawed, modern way, they're embarking on a hero's journey. The tribute to Western scores also anchors the film in cinematic history, reminding viewers that even if they're laughing at city folk in cowboy hats, they're still watching a proud entry in the Western canon, albeit one that trades shootouts for midlife epiphanies. The Ice Cream Taste-Off. A comedic gem that often leaves audiences grinning involves Barry and Ira Shalowitz, David Paymer and Josh Mostel, who operate an ice cream empire and boast about their supernatural ability to create the perfect flavor combination for any meal. While some lines were scripted, Paymer and Mostel were encouraged to experiment and riff off each other. Their dynamic, simultaneously bickering and brotherly, gave the film a memorable comedic subplot, highlighting how everyone on this cattle drive, not just the main trio, had their own quirks and comedic meltdown moments. Humor that dates itself. Though widely adored, City Slickers does reflect early 90s cultural norms, including moments of sexist or homophobic language. In particular, Ed casually drops remarks about women that can jar modern audiences, and there's a slur used at one point that underscores how much mainstream media has evolved since 1991. For many fans, it's a reminder of where pop culture was and how it's changed. Yet the film's overarching messages of personal renewal and authentic friendship ensure it remains relevant. Like many classic comedies, it's a product of its time, both for better and for worse. A PG-13 frontier, Viewers often assume a Western-themed comedy starring Billy Crystal would be kid-friendly, but City Slickers proudly sports a PG-13 rating, mainly for its liberal use of profanity and occasional sexual innuendo. The presence of cursing might surprise some family audiences, though it also elevates the realism of men approaching 40, grappling with job burnout, relationship woes, and midlife panic. The language situates the characters in a more adult comedic realm, balancing out the otherwise light-hearted plot. The rating, in a sense, suits the film's central question: how do grown men, halfway through their lives, find the courage to rewrite their stories? Crystal's mother, by way of Jane Meadows. In a brief but humorous scene, Mitch receives a phone call from his mother to commemorate his birthday with the story of his birth, something she supposedly does every year. This cameo was inspired by Crystal's real-life mother, who loved embarrassing him on his birthday by recounting that day in vivid detail. However, in the film, it's actually the voice of Jane Meadows. This fusion of factual tidbit and fictional portrayal is classic Billy Crystal, blending comedic flair with personal anecdote, forging a connection that makes Mitch Robbins feel like an extension of Crystal's own experiences. Bonnie's defining moment. When two rowdy cowboys named Jeff and TR get drunk and harass Bonnie, Helen Slater, the film pivots from easygoing comedy to sudden tension. They even draw guns, forcing Mitch, Phil, and Ed to intervene. Although it's orchestrated by stunt actors, the fear and adrenaline in that scene feels tangible, particularly for audiences not expecting violence in a comedic setting. This storyline underscores that not every challenge on this trip is existential or comedic. Sometimes real danger looms, demanding the three friends stand up for something beyond themselves. Their reaction to Bonnie's predicament becomes a milestone in forging their collective backbone. Norman, the calf superstar, little Norman, the calf Mitch helps birth, quickly transforms into a fan-favorite character, adorable, vulnerable, and symbolic of new beginnings. Audiences weren't alone in wanting to scoop Norman up and take him home. Billy Crystal often joked that he'd do exactly that if he got the chance. Norman's role is more than just cute comedic relief. He catalyzes Mitch's paternal instincts and underscores the film's message that reconnecting with life's simpler wonders can heal even the most jaded spirit. Whether Mitch is saving Norman from a raging river or bottle-feeding him, the calf stands in for all the hope and innocence Mitch thinks he's lost. A timely release. Shuffle. City Slickers tested extraordinarily well during sneak previews in March 1991. Smelling a potential hit, Columbia Pictures moved its official release date from June 12th to June 7th, aiming to dodge stiff competition and capture an early summer crowd. The strategy worked brilliantly, letting the film ride word-of-mouth momentum, which was as enthusiastic as the test screenings predicted. This marketing maneuver contributed significantly to the film's commercial success, a reminder that strategic release windows can elevate a film from moderate performer to box office champion. Golden Globe, Love for Crystal. While Palance nabbed an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, Billy Crystal also garnered major awards attention, landing a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical. This nod validated the emotional undercurrent of the movie and Crystal's skillful handling of Mitch's persona. Although Mitch cracks jokes in times of stress and trades witty banter with his pals, he's also quietly grieving the loss of youthful dreams and facing the dreaded question, is this all there is? Critics applauded Crystal's ability to toggle between comedic wisecracks and heartfelt introspection, lauding City Slickers as a genre-crossing achievement rather than a disposable summer laugh fest. The sequel's struggle. With City Slickers a certified hit, a sequel became inevitable. City Slickers II, The Legend of Curly's Gold, 1994. Billy Crystal and Daniel Stern returned, while John Lovitz replaced Bruno Kirby, and Jack Palance appeared again as Curly's twin brother, Duke. Despite the hype, the sequel fell flat for many fans and critics who felt it lacked the original's heartfelt introspection. Rather than focusing on character-driven humor and self-discovery, it leaned on broader comedic gags and treasure hunt tropes. Although it yielded a few laughs and some nostalgic moments, the less-than-stellar reception underscored just how special the first film's blend of soul-searching and cowboy comedy truly was. Decades after its release, City Slickers continues to captivate audiences through that unique intermingling of comedic misadventure and sincere soul-searching. Billy Crystal's Mitch, grappling with midlife disillusionment, resonates across generations, reminding us that reinvention is possible at any stage, if we're willing to face our insecurities head-on. Jack Palance's Curly, stoic, and menacing on the surface offers wisdom about the simplicity of focusing on one thing, and Norman the Calf embodies the innocence and vitality we can reclaim if we dare to step out of our comfort zones. Whether it's the behind-the-scenes tales of actors conquering allergies and forging real bonds with horses, or the deep personal anecdotes that Crystal wove into the script, City Slickers endures as a comedic Western classic with a heart of gold. For anyone feeling stuck, whether in a mundane job, a stagnant relationship, or a draining routine, the film stands as a comedic nudge to seek out new frontiers, lasso life's challenges, and maybe, just maybe, find that one elusive thing that makes all the difference.